Today we're problem solving double stops on the guitar. So as a prerequisite, this video is geared towards those who want to be the very best players they could be. So the prerequisites for being able to fully implement what I'm about to talk about would be knowing all the names of the notes on the entire fingerboard by memory as a first step, knowing all of your major keys and your minor keys by notes, not by finger pattern, and even having a very good knowledge of intervals and chord construction and diatonicism. All that's going to help a great deal, right? So that being said, let's start off with at least, assuming we have some exposure to that. And if not, no worries. You just follow along and, just sort of see where I'm pulling all this stuff from, okay? So the idea of double stops is when we play more than one note at a time, It could be anything, but two notes at the same time. Right now, since I'm using a pick, just going with adjacent strings. Let's start with sort of the building, sort of a loosely composed melody, right? There we have that. Very nice, very pretty. Okay, let's take another one. Now, or I should say now, let's harmonize it with double stops, okay? So we could either do one-to-one harmonization, which is something referred to as like species one counterpoint. We could do a bit of that, but we don't have to stick exclusively to that. So we could do something like... Nice, right? It's even there. So let's change the chord on that. Pretty, right? So now what we can do is we can open it up to, let's say, using other types of intervals. So that was not exclusively thirds. Let's actually break that down a little bit, right? So we have G and B is a major third. A and C is a minor third. Now these thirds are from the key of G major. Most of these notes are from the key of G major, except for that chromatic sound. That's not from the key of G major. So GB, A, C, B, D, and that gives me just a straight diatonic. I'll just show without open strings. Since they're actually stopped notes, I know the G and the B is not a stop note, but I just figured it'd be fun to put it all there. But so there we have those same notes in actual stopped form. Getting this third, right, and then D and F sharp right there, so that's a major third. But then using the G, now technically the D is still ringing out, so I have the sound of the perfect fourth. Here comes the bride, that's the perfect fourth sound. So I have the third, and then the melody speaks over that. But that's really the chord tone and gives me the interval of the perfect fifth. And then when I play the G, I harmonize it with the E, changing the chord essentially to like a C, something of that nature, or even an E, E minor, like that. sharp, giving me sort of like a D7 sound, right? But just the C and the F sharp. So it's a tritone interval, so it's a dissonant interval. We want to resolve it. Let's even resolve it chromatically. You know, just to add the tension. C and E. C and E flat, which is like the minor 4 from G minor. So that using that minor 4 to 1 cadence, the minor plagal cadence as it's referred to, is a cool sound. I like it a lot. So it's in this melody that I composed. I put it in. So, and then that half step resolution with both of them. So that G major, like so. Alright, so let's now sort of expand that a little bit. So let's say I like this opening in thirds, but then let's start switching it around here. So instead of the D and F sharp, which is nice, let's go with like C and F sharp as that D7. Right, and then into, yeah, let's go. So change the harmony like that. Let's see, yeah, that fingering works. Let's use 2 though. Yeah. And then the A, let's use a C sharp and use a secondary dominant. Hear how that's gonna pull the music a little bit of a different direction. Right, so I'm using A7 as the idea now. A, C sharp, E, G are the notes of A7. And then the G. And then the resolution. The G goes down as the 7th. Goes to F sharp. Like that. And that's very pretty too. So let's take that little move again. So if we let's harmonize it with the B now. B and F sharp, perfect fit. And keep the B. Now it's like a B major. And then as I do this, like that's from E minor there. And then instead of the C and the E, let's do like B and E. So the melody is the same. Let's use these fingers. And then, yeah, I mean the B and D will still resolve nicely, but you can hear it's already got a little bit more of a minor sound, you know. And then that, you know, fine. And then let's say I'm going to use a string skip here and pluck with my finger, but the G and the E, and that really gives it an E minor sound because we're getting the root in the third, but the G is in the bass, especially if I put the low E in. And we've got a full-on cadence in E minor, right? So the mystery behind any sense of double stop is the notes are going to be sounding at the same time. So that's why we want to be really well versed in our intervals, because we want to actually know what effect every pair of 2 notes is going to have when we hear them. You know, if we know something's a more dissonant interval, like a major second or a minor second or augmented fourth, like the tritone, we're going to expect the tension when we hear it. You know, if I'm doing something there or there, or if I do the harmonize the E with the D, it's an unresolved sound, you know? Now it's a minor third, now it's a major third, now it's a perfect fourth, you know? So it's like these different choices then end up highlighting different notes, which sort of pull the tonal bias towards, you know, wherever we're intending to go. If I'm using this note as a D sharp instead of an E flat, it's no longer really functioning as the borrowed 4 chord in a minor key or in a major key. It's now functioning as the dominant to, in this case, E minor, because it's acting, or even E major. I can even just sort of turn it more into something like that. So, and then if I'm say here, and then I want to go with that harmony, but I'm going to change the melody to C sharp, like that. Now it's more E major, and I put, see? So hopefully this delivers some of the insight that you're looking for, and hopefully it shows you that, one, all roads lead to knowing the names of the notes. So if you want my help with that as a starting point and designing the rest of your progress, please feel free to message me.